So now it's time to look at the 4 stages of a crisis. Here we can examine how a crisis unfolds. This generally develops through 4 stages, according to author and crisis management expert Jane Jordan Meyer. These stages are as follows. 1. The breaking news or what happened stage. 2. The make or break stage. 3. The finger pointing stage. And 4. The fallout or resolution stage. So let's take a look at these in more detail. So the breaking news stage is basically when the shit hits the fan, or rather the newsstands, or these days your smartphone newsfeed. Externally, an exploding oil rig, cyanide-laced pain relief capsules, suspect pollution readings, or celebrity sex tapes would all make for embarrassing news-laden headlines. Internally, plummeting sales, defective products, or disappearing funds could all trigger a situation which would require immediate and thoughtful attention. Here it's vital that the management and communications department get together as quickly as possible to launch their ready-to-go crisis communication strategy, or if they haven't done so, they should formulate one from scratch. The most important factor to remember here is that when a crisis hits and reporters are clamoring for a comment, you should begin communicating immediately. So that means making a public statement within the hour, if at all possible. Your job is to establish your company as the primary source of information for reporters right from the onset. Because if you don't talk, then others will fill that vacuum, and your control over the information flow will be seriously reduced or even lost. To further explain, reporters have to file their stories by their publication's deadline, with or without your input, and they'll have no choice but to deal with any lack of information on your part by getting it from another source. Now, these potential sources might include a former employee who doesn't have the facts straight or they're out of date, a critic who's been predicting disaster for years, an industry expert, or a competitor who stands to gain from your misfortune. These outside sources are often inaccurate. But if you're not communicating with the press, any false claims can, and often do, become widespread accepted facts. To illustrate this, here's another example. Some of you may have heard of the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil tanker disaster when the ship ran aground off the coast of Alaska. So here, some 11 million gallons of petroleum escaped into the sea, devastating the surrounding coastline with the usual and catastrophic effect on local wildlife. Exxon's CEO at the time was Lawrence Rule, who, in all his wisdom, failed to make a statement for almost a week. And to compound his company's already disastrous communication efforts, then failed to visit the accident site for some 3 weeks. The media and the general public took this lack of communication as a failure to take the situation seriously. And that image, i.e. a giant, evil, greedy, uncaring corporation, which wasn't committed to solving the worst ever US pollution disaster at the time, persists to this day even. It's important to remember that you will rarely have all the facts at your disposal directly after such an incident. However, if that's the case, you will have to convey at least awareness, sympathy for any victims, and be seen to taking action, whether it's in the form of an investigation, cooperation with police officials, or visit to the affected area. After that, it's crucial to keep the media updated as frequently as possible. And this brings us to the most crucial phase of all, the make or break stage. This is when, during an externally related crisis, the media will focus on the victims, and the response from the company comes under the microscope.